Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd show you an update to this tank that I've been working on. It's getting there. It's not done yet, but it's getting there. So I put a texture coat on the outside. I'll probably have to tweak that a little bit more. I've been taking some comments advice. Now I did replace a lot of these turrets already, retractables with non-retractables, but I don't have them all done yet. Um, So this outer row over here, this is all has blockwork below it, and some of this center rows over here also do. But I still got like a couple rows that are retractable yet, and I don't have a totally accurate assessment on weight versus the two. Now I have confirmed that the retractable turrets do weigh more than the standard turrets, but I haven't done like a full calculation on exactly what blocks are below that. Would it weigh a tidbit more? And it might depend on what blocks you're using. Like usually, most of these turrets here, I'm not using full blocks below them, so that would change the weight too. And I would basically have to add up a bunch of numbers to see how it's coming out in the end on exact weight. But like for instance, I did a couple tests where I took like one turret and replaced it with like some kind of little platform of combat steel blocks below it, and looked at the overall weight on as close as it would tell me, and it didn't change. It's got to be close, and I do know that this is stronger, so I think that's overall a pretty good idea. At first I was kind of under the impression that uh, they were the same weight in for turrets, and if you're going to save the blocks, you might as well save the blocks and make it lighter. Um, so anyway, that's how that's coming out. Now, last time I had this, I had some blocks over here, and it was causing me to not be able to fit in a 5x9 hangar door. So I found a solution. Now I tried a couple different things. My first thought was to move these thrusters in another block row so I could kind of put a block row on the outside of them. However, that just didn't work out very well with like turrets and placements and mounts and all kinds of other stuff. It was really going to cause a nightmare on the overall like design of the tank over on the sides here. So I found a different solution, and that is by putting these grating over the outsides of the thrusters, or these pieces. These don't seem to have the collision that the blocks do, so therefore it fits in a 5x9 hangar door. Um, and it is also offering some side protection. Now, I'm not exactly thrilled on the looks of that, but I can deal with it overall. So that's kind of where we're at with a lot of this right now. At the back, one of the things I wanted to do with the looks of it is I kind of like that where these look like they're separate, like big thruster modules sticking out, and I kind of like this indentation here on the back. So I kind of went with that with the design of the back wall coming into the tank. Now on the inside, it's totally a work in progress. However, I started work on it, so it's getting there. I got a lot to do yet, but what for ammo storage, it's running two 16,000K ammo boxes. So you got like a right and left. So you got 32K of ammo, which is far more than any other tank I made. But this has far more turrets than any other tank I made too. So I think that should be pretty good. I don't, I could even add more, but it's like I don't know how much more to add, and everything is weight, and weight is the enemy. So with block work too, I'm starting to like with certain things. Like I'm thinking the flooring, I might actually go with hardened steel as opposed to combat steel. Again, it's a weight thing. In certain areas of sealing off parts here and there, I've been using some hardened steel. And then obviously interior stuff beyond that, I'm using carbon substrate. And it's all about weight. I mean, of course, I'd love to just do it all with combat steel, but it'll be too heavy at that point in time, and I'll be very disappointed with its performance if I did that. So that's kind of where that part is at, and I'm doing the rear firewall thing on this one as well. I got the space, so if the door gets blown out, you've got like a protection wall behind where the pilot would sit, which would probably be generally in this area. Now for damage mitigation, how this tank works, obviously it's a pretty long tank, and if you looked at that room, it's about this, it starts here, and basically I've got a combat steel firewall on the inside of the tank going across. Now to keep weight down, and basically I'm not using any of the front of the tank for interior space, and I'm not even going to put a floor on it, because that's just more block work, and I don't feel the need to protect the ground, you know, so it's just saving a lot of blocks. I'll try to dress this area up so it looks a little better on here, but again, it's all about weight. And if I can shave some weight off here any way I can, like by not having a floor or interior space on the front, more power to it. I figure if, you know, I figure the damage, if you're using the tank properly, usually trying to face your target, you're going to get the damage mostly on this front. And if you're in like some crazy heavy battles or something, you could even, like, you know, blow out a couple turrets and you could have some holes in here, but it's like holes to nothing. So it's not going to affect you whatsoever, as long as I can keep the thrusters and stuff safe. So I am trying to seal those, and I'll have to do a lot more of that yet. And then start getting in some other parts. I might even put in like a constructor or something in here, but I got to figure out if the constructors for these things can actually build the ammo that this would use. If it doesn't, then I don't exactly know what you would do with the constructors, but I've got a little bit of CPU left over. Now it's still running 12 quantum cores, but I did get like the generators in place and some other stuff. I've got 4 RCS I was kind of toying with, and it was basically said, and this was kind of always the case, I think, having the RCS close to the center of gravity, or I'm sorry, center of mass, would be the most effective. So, I mean, these aren't exactly at the center, I don't think. The center would be a little bit, probably a little bit forward, like over there. But still, even with the 4 in here, I really can't tell much of a difference at all. So I don't know. RCS to me is just kind of like, again, something I really don't like to use much. But on the flip note, I just really can't throw any more thrusters in this thing. I did add a couple more little tiny reverse thrusters in the front, which I don't think would be necessarily wonderful, but they can be blown out too, and you've got your main reverse thrusters back over here. Just a little bit of a kicker, and these thrusters are a little bit away from the turrets, and those turrets will probably have combat steel on the bottom of them once I get them replaced. So I think that would work out all right. But yeah, I'm kind of excited for it. I know this is it's a pretty crazy thing. So as in names, something Siege Tank, and I'm kind of looking at it's a human, so I'm looking at, like, you know, your mythological, you know, stuff, and I was thinking maybe just to go bold and call it the Zues Siege Tank, because it's pretty meaty for a tank. And you know, Zeus is like one of the big gods, or biggest Greek god, I think. So maybe that would be appropriate, but there's a lot of other names. I mean, if you look at like war and different and like god or mythological names, there's a lot of them. And if you got any other suggestions or ideas too, that'd be cool. You could leave it in the comment. I mean, it could be called anything. But I kind of like the idea of calling it the Siege Tank, because why not? I love the Siege Tanks in StarCraft, to be honest. So those are really cool. I'd love to be able to build something like that in this game, but we don't have those kind of like big weapon things. Like if we had, can you imagine if we had a tank that actually had like this like 12 block size massive turret thing that you could put on it or something like that? That would be really cool. But yeah, we don't, and I'm thinking I'll be pretty happy with this. Now, the thing that's bothering me the most, obviously, is weight, and performance-wise, it's here. Let me get the HUD back on, and so we can do max speed, or pretty well. I think that's max speed, or about forward. But strafing now, it goes down to 40 max speed. reverse about 37. But you can do kind of like any combination of this stuff too. But it's, of course I would like to be more agile than it is yet. But it's not horribly bad considering its size and especially the amount of firepower on it. And that's its big strong thing is the firepower. It's just got a lot. So as in like docking it in things, like we got a Apollo module here, which is a 5x9 hangar door, and it's tight, but will fit in pretty easily. I hate this view thing going on though. It's one thing, one of those things reasons why I don't particularly like third-person views is because of this, but yeah, you just can't put like a decent first-person cockpit on something like this. It would look really stupid if I put like I think a first-person cockpit like back where this artillery is or something. It would be probably the best location on this tank to do something like that. You certainly wouldn't want it on the front anywhere because that's just designed to get blown up. But yeah, you could fit, I would say, easily 2 of these inside the Apollo, probably 2 of these and something smaller. And that works out pretty good. So this will be like completely usable with like all the existing stuff and 5x9 hangar door compliant. Now, of course, I'd like to go a little wider and add some more blocks over here and get rid of these grates and put something that looks prettier. But yeah, that's the function difference between doing that and allowing it to work with all these existing creations is it's well worth it, So I don't, I'll deal with the grates rather than prettier blocks. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on this. I'm just trying to furnish the interior, trying to set it up different ways. I'm using different materials too. I'm thinking like I've got it like combat steel for the bottom floor under where you would actually be sitting in the tank, but like other areas a little further away, I went to hardened steel again to save some weight, and beyond the firewall and storage and things like that. I'm using carbon substrate for a lot of this interior stuff. It's just all about trying to keep the weight down. And anything I can shave, the better. And I still got more stuff to seal. Might add a couple more fuel tanks yet, but they're explodey, so I'm trying to like, tuck these things behind different layers of stuff. But maybe I'll move them inward a little bit more too. Right now I've kind of got the storage on the outer edges. But overall, I'm hoping that this back part of the tank just really doesn't take a lot of damage. I mean, I could see the front taking damage, and I'm hoping this would stop like things that would try to get through to the interior part of the tank. We've got the other kind of firewall in front of the back door here too, in case you get popped right from the back. So trying to keep it as lightweight as I can for what it is, and as strong as I can. And one other thing too I noticed too, I left this little spot over here thinking this would be an ideal spot for a long-range radar until I realized that if you'll take a look at the tank parts, I'm not seeing any long-range radar for HVs. So that's weird because I think SVs have them and CVs have them. I'm just kind of surprised that HVs don't have them. But yeah, I guess they don't. So if they ever do, there's a spot for it. But right now, yeah, no, I am not seeing anything with that. Maybe that's just another advantage that SVs will get over HV. And they need some advantages, but again, I haven't played with all those new SV parts or tried. I wanted to get this finished up and then out to the workshop, but I want to test it first in game a little bit and see how it does. I kind of suspect it would probably get the job done, but hopefully it doesn't have any design flaws that would cripple it somehow. But yeah, I'm doing like a lot of things to keep the weight down, and another thing I did too is I raised the floor height up so it's actually a block above, and it's a bit wasteful, I suppose, on potential interior space, but I think it'll look a little better in the end. And honestly, I didn't need the space in here. And I don't know, I might save some blocks by doing that, but it's hard to say how many. One thing I was curious about though, like with damage bottles, and I'd have to like almost test this in the field. When I seen explosions, like say this thruster here gets blown up and causes an explosion around the area. Now I've got these hardened steel blocks in between the other thruster, which are supposed to be good enough to contain that explosion. But I didn't put anything on the inside here. Thinking behind that, again, is try to save blocks, is that if this explosion goes outward, I'm hoping, well, I guess I'd have to find out, but I'm hoping that the explosion would like just travel this way and not over into the thruster behind the blocks here. And if that's the case, then this can explode all at once out this way, and it can damage the ground or something below it. And that's kind of the point too. You get holes in the front of this tank, turret gets blown out here or whatever, and it's just gonna, whatever else happens, it's just hitting the ground under there. So to save a lot of blocks, there's just no floor up in this whole front of the tank, because I just didn't really see a point on trying to do that, and it's not really protecting anything. So why would I want the floor? It's not interior space. I did the same thing with the latest MCRN tank, the Scorpion, and I think that's yeah, you know, protect what you need to protect and don't protect everything else. And that's kind of my thinking behind all this. Again, if the thrusters just put out more kick, I could be less concerned about weight, but unfortunately the thrusters just don't seem to do, I think, I don't know. I'm sure they do just fine. I'm just trying to move around a lot of stuff here, and you know, I'm trying to use the bigger thrusters for the most part. Now, I did give it a little kicker by adding in some other little thrusters over here to give that forward speed a little bit better kick. And I did put a couple more thrusters on the front. Now these are, in a really nasty combat situation, could easily be blown out, but your main reverse thrust are over here, and I'm hoping those are far back enough and tucked away enough to not really take much damage. If the tank is getting hit where it would want to be hit, which would be like somewhere literally on this whole front area. Yeah, that's about it. That's where I'm at. I'm kind of excited for it. I think it sounds fun. If it doesn't crash the game, we'll be all set. Yeah. After I get this one done, I'll probably start hitting the drawing boards again on another SV for the challenge. Again, I'm going to try to go with, I think I'm going to try to go with combat-oriented SV. I would still like to try to prove my death from above method to make a functional vehicle that works that way. I know there's bombs and there's torpedoes and there's all kinds of other things now, and to do like damage, like fast hit and run attacks. But I still wanted to see, because I don't want to be defeated on my quest to make like an SV that could really like deal with the POIs quickly and powerful, really well, and live. And I'll have to see. I mean, now since I tried it last time, there's the shields are bigger, there's more guns, and I'm using a bunch of quantum cores. The biggest problem I was having with a lot of this stuff though is the thrusters. Like on this, considering its weight, and what is its weight actually? Take a look at the stats on that. Mass 274 tons. Quite a lot, I suppose. I just want to see how that ranks compared to some other big tanks that I made in the past, and how big those tanks actually are in comparison to this. Let's pull out like the Ripper. Ripper's quite a bit smaller than the, well, Ripper was kind of a big tank. It's not as big as that one though, but what does this thing weigh? Man, it's 196, so it is lighter. How about the biggest one I ever made, the Gigantes? I think the Gigantes would still be bigger than this new tank. Yeah, I think it's bulkier, but it's not quite as long, but it's bulkier. Um, what do you weigh? 435. So, yeah, it's considerably lighter than this tank is. So, yeah, I'm sure this one would totally not work. It basically, right after I even released it too, CPU kicked in and it totally killed it. So this was such a short-lived creation, and it was terribly expensive, but it was fun. It was fun. Two-story tank. I mean, what more can you ask for, right? I do miss the times when I had like a lot of interior space to work with and could do things, and now it's this one I'm not terribly disappointed in though. I think I have enough interior space to work with, but it just seems like it just keeps on getting more and more cramped. If the thrusters did more performance and I could keep the speeds up, I would probably try to do more with the front here too, but it's just it's going to be too heavy if I try to do that. But other than that, that's about all I've got for today, and I'm hoping this is well, it should be too because it's going to use 12 quantum cores, I believe, and that's without upgrading any of the weapons. I'll leave more spots for excuse me, for more quantum cores, but yeah. Anyway, you all have yourself a good weekend. I'll hopefully have another update video on this and maybe some other things Monday. I want to show some other creations as well and take a look at some modules. And there's a particular version of a Leviathan supercarrier I would like to show that someone else made. I haven't yet looked at it, but I did get it ready to look at. So I'll probably do that Monday, I'm thinking, and take a look at some other things. All right, well, y'all have a good day. I will talk to you later.